I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over in detail all the new features of the Goldwing. I covered that in my first look, 2018 Honda Goldwing and Goldwing Tour. Consider that article to be the theory of the new wing and this to be the practical application. And where better to start than a look at the heart of the beast. The Goldwing's 1833 cubic centimeters SOHC Flat 6 is a completely new mill which shares nothing with the previous generation. The design goals were simple: increase both power and efficiency, plus make the engine shorter to allow it to be located further forward in the frame. To enable the more compact size, the cylinder bore was dropped 1 mm to yield a perfectly square bore and stroke of 73 mm x 73 mm, and the distance between bore centers was shrunk by 9 mm. Additionally, the cylinder offset from the left and right cylinder banks was reduced by 4 mm. The result is a more powerful engine that is 29 mm shorter front to back and 13.7 pounds lighter, in 6-speed manual configuration, which is the only way to directly compare the new engine to the previous generation. The Goldwing's engine retains the characteristic otherworldly smoothness of the previous generation. However, the torque delivery feels more pronounced in the bottom end, and once the engine hits the mid-range, it feels significantly more energetic. Throttle response from the ride-by-wire single throttle body is responsive, and lurch-free, at all engine speeds. Changing the ride mode from Tour to Sport brightens the throttle response a tad, but it's hard to tell since the biggest change between the two modes is how the dual-clutch transmission, DCT, operates. With its latest iteration of the DCT, Honda has hit the ball out of the park when it comes to touring. After a brief period of acclimatization to the way it operates, I found myself quite happy to let the engine do all the shifts for me in the vast majority of riding situations. When you consider that my trip included 2 600-mile days, that's a lot of work that the DCT saved me, and I'm certain I was fresher at the end of the day than I would have been otherwise. When approaching corners that I wanted to choose what gear to downshift to, I merely had to hit a paddle with my left thumb. The DCT would upshift back to top gear after I stopped rolling on the throttle. When you're not in fully manual mode, the trick to keeping the transmission in the gear you want is to keep ramping up the throttle throughout the whole corner. Pause, even for a moment, and the transmission upshifts. This isn't a big deal, but it does soften the acceleration out of the corner, and you know how we morons like to accelerate. Sean hasn't always been a fan of Honda's DCT. He definitely likes to be in control of things. And I mean that in the nicest of ways, Sean. So, I was quite surprised when he said, I think it would be a coin flip as to whether I got the DCT or the traditional manual transmission. In fact, his notes about the manual transmission were mostly on the negative side, citing a long lever throw and a lack of clutch feel. Sean also had comments about the engine at touring speeds. There is a definite, persistent, though not obnoxious, exhaust drone from around 2100 RPM through about 3000 RPM when maintaining a constant speed. That works out to about 60 to 80 miles per hour in 7th gear on a DCT Goldwing. Honda was trying for a more sporty tone with new 2018 Goldwing exhaust, but I think they may have overshot their target by a bit. A decibel or two lower with a bit less ear pressure might have made the drone all but unnoticeable.